there's a lot of people that I'm having conversations with over the last couple of months where they feel like they're in this, I don't want to say, I'll say waiting. I can say waiting because Morgan just did a recent podcast about this waiting space, but I feel like it's more like a repositioning, and that God is positioning his people in for a new season, for something higher than what we've even been able to conceptualize. And it's taking its toll. Like there's an element of weariness connected to it because we're feeling a little bit discombobulated in the mission. But we're eager, like we're so eagerly pursuing the voice of God connected to what our next move is. And yet it's like he's doing all the moving and we just have to be patient. And so I don't know if that's a read on anybody else's conversations, but it has been loud and clear from people that you perceive are like way far ahead of you, people that you perceive might be, years behind you in the building phase, but that God has just been not silent. I don't want to say that. He's just not flowing out all of the detailed plans that I know I used to receive on a consistent basis. And I'm in this place of just, okay, God, I am here. I am fully surrendered to where you want me to go. And he's not being clear in where that going is going. It's a repositioning and I'm ready and everyone's ready, but no one has any like fire action yet. What does that feel like? Tell me what you guys are processing. I'm just being totally open and transparent on, it's not, like I said, not just conversations that I'm having with the Lord, but this is dozens of conversations that are happening one-to-one with people in my industry.
Well, it's definitely going on in my life, in my industry, for sure. Like where I'm wondering, like, okay, what's happening,
Yeah.
And I'm still not hearing it, so it's just that thing. And then in my personal business, the provision has gotten so slim, and thank goodness I have my faith, because I'm not freaking out where in the past I'd be slitting my wrist. I mean, like almost to that point, and it's not that the business isn't there. It's just the deals went south. I mean, and they still went through. It's just the provision wasn't as much. So lots of stuff on my heart and lots of stuff going on, but I'm going, okay, I'm patient. I'm here every day, all the time. I'm doing it. And then, I just see the bank account dwindling, and it's one of those things, but it is a patience thing and a test and a learning season for me right now. So I don't know if that resonates.
No, it's so good. The call that I was just on, she just kept saying that she's hearing from the Lord, hold the line, like hold the line. And that the things that you've been doing are not the wrong things, that he's not actually asking you to do this massive pivot. He's asking you to hold the line. And are you willing to hold the line when you're still not hearing what the next thing is going to look like?
Yeah, my word was be patient.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm there and be patient a lot.
It's good. Go ahead, Julie, and then Dr. Perry.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you guys. Yeah, the thing that I feel like the Lord's been showing, he just keeps pointing me to the calendar. Just keep looking at the calendar. And I'm like, what is that about? Well, this Saturday, we switch over to the next season. So we're moving from summer to fall. And then we're just about at the end of the third quarter. So then I started, like, he was just having me pay attention to, how do I feel about that? How do I actually feel moving into fall? And I started to feel all this anxiety of like the hustle, like I've got to push things forward. And he was just like pulling on the emergency brake, like slow down, take a minute and listen to me. And I feel like he wants to give people a word for this season, like for fall. What is your word? Like, what are your marching orders? What is it that you're supposed to walk forward in? Because for me, it was like what he told me was completely counterintuitive to what I was thinking. He told me to dig deep and put my roots down. And I've been holding my roots up for a while because I've been so mobile. And he's like, nope, dig in. And I can see things shifting. I can see things like coming to a potential end where I would need my roots up. And he's like, nope, drop them in, dig deep. And I just think that this is like a really important time for us to savor And I really feel like he's calling us to rest in him in a whole different way. And rest is not inactive. Rest is actually very active. It's very purposeful. It's very intentional. And it's where we receive so much. So it feels to me like a time to just go back to some of the basics. Like, the kids are back in school, routines can shift back into what a fall habit might look like. But it's what is it that he wants us to carry and create during this time of the year? And it is, I mean, if you think about fall, it's like there are things that we need to drop to the wayside. There are things that need to be pruned. There are things that need to be let go and not carried through. Like, my bad summer habits need to stay in the past. It's time to move forward with some new habits. But I really feel like getting a word from him for each of us for right now, what is it that he wants us to do in this season? Because it is still a building season. There's still building happening. But I have construction all around me. And lately, all I've been hearing is the beep, 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 which means they're in reverse. And it's irritating me to no end. I'm like, no, we're not reverse. We're not reverse. Move forward. But you have to go backwards at times, right? To go forward again. And so just listening, I just think we need to tune in to hear him in different ways. Like, he's just speaking differently. It's not that he's not talking.
Right.
It's just coming out differently.
Yeah, that's
You
really
know, Tamra,
good.
I think in this group, this is why it's so hard. This is a group of hustlers. I don't mean that in a certain way.
You're calling us out like that.
What I mean is the word that Julie used, the word she's hustling. We get out and we have to hustle. I'm using a sports metaphor. There are those that just hustle. They run from practice. You'll watch it in practices. They'll run from the building to the field, from the field to the building. Like, everything they do is at double time. And it's just the way they're wired. Entrepreneurs have to be wired that way. From day one, you've been told by every successful entrepreneur, you cannot come in halfway. You got to go all in and you got to hit it running. So you've come in with an entrepreneurial mindset to go, go, go. And then we can out hustle God. Like, look at the children of Israel when they got to the wilderness. That was supposed to be a transition period, and it was a very long one. But that merely was a transition from point A to point B, and it should have been just a couple of days, weeks, and it lasted 40 years. Why? Because they out hustled God. Like, the fire kept moving by night and the cloud by day, and then sometimes it wouldn't move. What if they kept walking? But they stopped at night to sleep, so that meant the cloud and the fire was stopped during the day. But he kind of let them do their own thing. Otherwise, they'd have been right there. Why was it moving the direction it was? It was based off their actions or inactions, I think, sometimes on both of those accounts. Because if they would have got the mindset right in a few days, they would have been in the promised land. But they couldn't break free of what they had been. They couldn't see the promises of God for them. So sometimes when we get stuck in a place, it's based off what we are doing or sometimes what we're not doing. It could be either or those. So I think in your prayers to him, it's like, God, make it apparent. What am I supposed to leave behind in this season? If I'm moving into another season, what do I got to leave behind? One, that's always going to be the case. You cannot take everything with you. What do I got to leave behind? And two, what do I need to go into the next season? Because we can't go into a new place with old mindsets, without old weapons. Look at some of the moments in your life you've overcome things, and it required a different weapon, a different piece of wisdom, a different thought.